Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. I'm out taking a walk in the garden in the morning. It's still dark kind of, and I'm having my coffee, and look at this. This is my first flower, and it looks like a female. Oh yes it is, in the truck bed. Isn't this cool? I've had some issues, but we're doing okay. So let me get you down there real quick. Now you can see right from the top this is a female. See a female flower on any of these squash? It has a cluster. Think of like if you curved your hand, it's a cluster. That's a female flower, and then you'll see the fruit back there, see? If it was a male flower, it would just have, let's say, a single stem in the center. So the male's got, we're not going to get into the anatomy, but the single stem in the center of these squash flowers are males, and then when you see a cluster, that's usually female. I'm going to put this back. I'll tell you the few issues I had, so you'll be aware of it too. All in all, I did not want to feel the Swiss chard, but that's how it's growing here. Let me back up a little bit. All in all, everything's doing really good. I had an issue with this one. These are spaghetti squash, and there's another one in the purple bucket over there. It's kind of a purpley blue. The towies have been coming in here. Let me step back so I can show you what's going on. The towies have been coming in here and wreaking havoc in here. They love greens, and when they saw the new greens that I planted, I can drop this down. Isn't that cool? They pulled them out. They didn't eat them. That's how I knew there was no squirrels getting in here. They simply pulled the plant out. So I replanted them. I put one there because there were two, I think, in there, and then I ended up with 3 in here. And now they're leaving them alone because they're getting more of their main leaves, and they're starting to get a little bigger. If I was smart, I would put a top on top of the bucket just until it gets a little bit more size, like that squash over there. But I'll wait and see. I might do it later, I might not. Just a top made out of whatever way I make my covers. And then as soon as it gets size, that's when I would pull it up. But no squirrels, no varmints, just the towies. You'll see the towies. Let me grab my coffee. They'll go in there, and then they come out with a mouthful of greens. They feed their babies greens. They eat greens. So I'm really happy with the truck bed. So the tool wrapped around quickly with just some posts, tomato poles, and just some clothespins has worked. None of the squirrels, and boy, do we have a yard full of squirrels. None of them have gone in there, because if they leap and they hit that tool, it's scary. They think it's a trap, and then they leave. But I didn't close the top. Now I could have closed the top, but I wasn't going to go to all that effort. Maybe I should have, but no, it's okay. All's doing really good. I've got the shark fin melon that's got its first flower, and that thing is taking off. What I did here, and I think I've already explained it to you, is the soil in here, let me back up a little bit more, wasn't all that great. There we go. It was very sandy, and I wanted to have a little bit better soil. So I threw a bunch of leaves in there. Of course, I picked all the Swiss chard that is already growing back because there was a lot of seeds. And then I simply left it. I didn't add anything else in there, and I put in these buckets. There's 7 buckets. I could add another bucket if I want. I do have a squash in the ground of the truck bed there. This way I didn't have to do any work. All I had to do was fill the buckets up with whatever I wanted, not flower pots, but weeds and stuff and pieces of wood. Just go around the yard and pick things up, load it up, and there we go. So then I just topped it with some soil from either another tote, or I put a little potting soil on top, and I went for it and I planted. So this should be really good. So each one has its own compartment. Instead of totes, I'm using buckets. These are 5-gallon buckets. I got most of these from Uline. Uline.com. It's just a company that sells all kinds of products for other companies, and it just so happens they have all these buckets. They have purple, they have yellow, they have orange, they have red, they have green, they have all color buckets. Now this blue one came from Walmart, so periodically Walmart gets that in, and then Walmart's got white ones, and then they also had yellow ones. So these are marked to 5, so they're safe. If you are concerned about plastic, go back and watch the video I put up. It will explain everything you need to know about plastic. But this has been fantastic. So this is just kind of a morning vlog update, how well this is going. I am so excited. In the next couple months, this place should be loaded. And then if I wanted to, I could spot in between a couple more buckets. Now these buckets have big holes on the bottom. I don't know if I've got one here. Oh yeah, see what I did here? Big holes. These are actually drilled. So I've drilled big holes because the whole idea of this is to have the squash or whatever I plant in there. I could have done corn. I could have done cucumbers, tomatoes. I'm going to plant tomatoes here in the fall. But I could have done anything in here. And the idea is to have the roots go out of the bucket because under each bucket, the earthworms are going to start to gather. You're going to have microbes breaking down from in the bucket and it's going to flow in. All the Swiss chard that I don't want, I come through here and I make scrambled eggs in the morning with Swiss chard. I'm going to do that right now. Anything I don't want, I just drop. So it's kind of like a chop and drop, and that's all I do. So I'm going to have earthworms all through here. And then I'm going to have all these buckets sending their roots into the soil. Then you go, well, wait a minute. Then they don't have their own compartment. But they do. They still have their own compartment because their main roots are in the bucket. So when I go through, all I have to do is water the buckets. And they've got water, and then it goes down into the truck bed. And it's a win-win for everything. So there's no real competition. The small competition with the roots going down into the bucket, but that's nothing. That is nothing. So this is going to work, I know, fantastic. And I'll see if I want to drop in something in between. I could drop in a small bucket. I could put parsley in there or something else if I want to later. Or just leave it, because let me tell you something. These are all wanderers, so they're going to just take off all over the place. So I don't need to think about adding in really any more. But what I may do later on as summer comes and we're into summer, I'm probably going to start to spot in some tomatoes. I've done that before. Actually, I didn't put them in. They showed up out of the compost, and I had squash growing all summer, from spring, summer into fall. And then as fall was ending, this whole place covered, you can go back and see it on the old videos, into a whole field of tomatoes. And I had tomatoes all winter. I think just the whole idea of being off the ground and so many plants created its own microclimate, kept it warm enough to have tomatoes all winter. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. I'm just all excited to see my first flower now. And it's a female, which means I should go grab something maybe from the wall and hand pollinate it. I'll probably do that. It's not that important because I have so much squash right now, but I was just excited to see it's finally produced something. Well, finally, it hasn't even been set up that long. So I probably will go hand pollinate, and then I will just let this go because I'm excited to get, I've got butternut squash. That's the one that a squirrel ate to nothing. It's coming back. And then the rest is all spaghetti squash. This one is, see, it's labeled. I actually have it labeled back there. See? Oh, let me take the clothespins off. I'm pulling on them, so the clothespins are letting go. See? Spaghetti squash, April 22nd, I planted that spaghetti squash in there. Now this is snail damage, so I've been kind of looking around for the snails. I have not had any more snails come in here, but I have trapped snails in there already. And that's the only ones I've got to deal with. Otherwise, all is good. So I thought I'd just do an update. If you've got any issues with squirrels or anything, believe you me, it's worth a try. I even covered some plants that the deers were nibbling on, and they don't want to nibble on this. They touch this with their lips, and it's like, what is this? We don't want this. Try it. I get it on eBay. It's $10 or $11 for a bolt of 40 yards, 54 inches wide. I use nothing to wrap this around. This is still double. I could have opened this up wider. This is folded in half. I didn't even bother unfolding it. Yeah, I could have gone back and forth, but I can't get behind the truck bed. So I just climbed in there. I wrapped it around, and this has been, for me, a great success. And now I'm starting to produce fruit. In the meantime, I've got all the greens I want. I just come out here and grab a handful and just go for it. It's been fantastic. I don't care if I damage the plants because I really don't even want them in there. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Even though, just reach down, make sure I don't grab a squash or anything. Cool. And now I can take this in, wash it up, couple eggs on the frying pan, and Kitty and I and Gary will be very happy. So with that, have a wonderful day. Like I said, if you've got any issues, go ahead and try some tulle. If you don't want to buy a big bolt, go to any fabric store and just tell them you want some tulle. It's fabric netting, and try it. Try a little bit, cover something. I could not garden without it. This is not a commercial for Tulle. This is just an update on the truck bed. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. I told you I was going to make something with Swiss chard. It's so good. Just Swiss chard eggs, no salt, no pepper, no nothing. Gary's not home. So it's just me. This is so good. Well, I knew you were here. I have to make sure it's cool. This is cool. This is an awful lot. It's just Swiss chard. Are you in the Swiss chard? Yes, she's into anything. Look at this. The problem is, she really doesn't like any dog food anymore. But you like that. Anyways, I'll give you more in a minute. This is so good. So simple. Add a handful of Swiss chard, 2 eggs. Like I said, I could have put cheese on here. I could have put leftover whatever. So good. Okay, so like I always say, don't forget to eat what you grow. We grow the eggs too. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Yes.